So I want to pick up on one of the themes that I think came out quite strongly this morning from a number of presentations, but also in one of the sessions I was participating in the afternoon, the workshop, which was focused on facing climate change, risk-based planning. And I think what came out of that is the enormous challenge we face in terms of coordination across ministries and agencies, across different levels of government, whether it's the local, the regional, the states, the national government, across both the public and the private sector. What responsibility is there for households, for industries, for the water utilities, for insurance companies? And we face this challenge not only with water management, but particularly when we're trying to look at adaptation and water management in urban environments. There's so many actors involved, most of whom don't ever speak to each other, as we heard from our colleague from the Netherlands, or know about each other, and those who do often end up fighting. So how do we overcome this challenge? I think one of the things that did come up this morning, and I just want to mention quickly something from one of our OECD studies about this, because we looked at 17 different countries in water governance. And one of the things we found was that at the national level alone, for most of the countries, there was 7 to 15 different ministries responsible for different aspects of water management. And that was at the national level. Once you started adding in local and regional, it's much more. And for example, in the US, we found that there were 50,000 bodies responsible for managing water in the US. So the coordination there is enormous. But so one of the solutions I think that came out quite well also from the discussions was the importance of developing holistic plans at the city level for adaptation. In Copenhagen, we heard the example of the Dutch Delta and the commission there, which is pulling this together. At the national level, adaptation plans for countries, etc. So that's important. But the challenge is, what is the motivation to actually pull this together, this kind of a plan, and then to actually implement it? And if you're coming from environment ministries, which a lot of our clients are in the Environment Directorate at OECD, often you're low on the totem pole. So if you're coming from environment and trying to enforce this, nobody's going to listen to you. So how do you get this to the center of government? One way is certainly to have a huge flood. And we've seen that in Copenhagen. That actually really brought this to the forefront. And one of the things I was trying to think about, and we were discussing in one of the sessions, was how can you bring this to the forefront without a major disaster? How can you actually bring that to political attention, to the public perception? So since we've been talking about both the challenges and the solutions in the workshop, I wanted to come forward with one proposal for a potential solution, which draws on some of the discussion and some of the participants here. I actually see that 2 of the participants I was going to dob into this have left, but we've still got the EC here, I think. And what I would suggest is that we have a sort of tripartite communications road show, where we have 3 of the people here, or 3 of the organizations who've been here participating. And I was going to suggest somebody from Copenhagen, who's been dealing with the aftermath of the floods and the adaptation, because I think it was a wonderful example of what can be done at the city level and what the benefits of actually developing an adaptation strategy and implementing it are. And it's concrete and it's specific, and it really brings home to people what the issues are. That's one. The other is the EEA, because I think it would be important to have the data and the information on what's happening in different European cities to try and identify which cities and which countries are most at risk and develop some of the projections, target those cities, provide them with information about their own environment. And then third, the EC, who can bring to the forefront the sort of policies and the framework directives, and also hopefully some of the financing to help pay for this roadshow. So my solution is to try and get the examples of Copenhagen and to actually bring that to other European cities to help demonstrate to all the actors there, the government, the private sector, the public, the importance of actually addressing this at home themselves rather than having their own disaster. So.
Thank you.